I think that Ryan's reaction to putting on the suit and Javicia's reaction to putting on the suit is pretty much the same. Like, it's freaking epic.
The biggest challenge for me launching this season with a new lead character is figuring out who we want that character to be. And so the challenge for me was basically making sure that she was a badass, unique, beautiful, powerful woman that we have not seen or felt before in the DC world. So a big part of that was casting Javicia Leslie.
To see the bat on my chest, like, I'm a huge Batman fan. I grew up on Batman. I watched all the Batmans. So to see the bat on my chest, it just felt like, wow, like, I'm a part of the family. So we did fittings, so I saw little pieces of it here and there, but the first time I put the entire suit on, I was in my trailer. It was just, there's like this moment of like, oh my goodness, like, I am a superhero. No matter what happens in my life from this point on, I will forever be a superhero, and that's pretty freaking cool. Like, my grandkids are gonna be able to say my grandma was a superhero. So yeah, it's definitely like exciting.
Ryan kind of emerged from feeling out like what is the opposite of Kane. And while Bruce and Kate were interested in fighting the system and fighting social injustice, Ryan actually has experienced being stuck in that system firsthand, and I think that's actually what her superpower is. So both Bruce and Kate come from a lot of wealth. They have really high society established families. They're incredibly privileged. They have a lot of education. And I wanted to create a character who doesn't have the access to the privileged life that they had. The reason I wanted Ryan to have a core wound it just turned out, I think, to be similar to Bruce Wayne's, is because, that was the pinnacle moment of her life. Like Bruce Wayne, there's just a sort of new character arises out of that tragedy. Ultimately, apart from that core wound tragedy, I wanted to create a completely different character.
It's funny, when I think about the sequence of when Ryan was putting the entire suit on, and the way it's shot, and how clumsy she is, and how like not coordinated she is. It was kind of how I was when I first put the suit on, like trying to get my foot through, and where does this go? And oh, this is for my hand, not my leg. Our director, Holly Dale, was just like, just go for it. Like, if it's too much, I'll tell you. But she never told me, so I just went for it. There are moments where like I'm falling over in the bathroom and like I'm trying to get my foot in and I'm hopping, and it was so funny.
The first scene I shot with Javicia was incredible. I believe my first scene shooting with her was when she was in the bat suit in the cave in the first episode, and it was awesome. It was so cool to see her because, as a new character, as a new Black superhero, it was cool to see that she saw how big of a deal it was. And before they said cut, she just like had this big smile and started laughing, and they didn't say cut yet. So like, Javicia, like you're still Batwoman. But you could just tell that like this little Black girl joy in her, where she's just like, wow, like I am in the bat suit. So to see her geeking out about being a bat character was awesome, because I was like, we're gonna get along very well.
It's epic, but then it's also this interesting dynamic where you realize the responsibility of just the suit, right? Realizing that when someone sees that suit, it represents something to them. It represents a hero. Even with Ryan, when Ryan puts on the suit, she automatically has that weight on her of like, oh, okay, this isn't just Ryan anymore. Like, the moment I put the suit on, I'm someone's hero.
Look, I'm looking for someone. Figured the Boss Face Society knows things. So, who's gonna point me in the right direction? I have no idea what this button does. You wanna figure it out together, or you wanna help?
One of the successes of season 1, in my opinion, was that we didn't just create a cool Batwoman character, we created a really cool world of ancillary characters that we cared about. So in that sense, it's not a pilot. It's all feeling very familiar. In another sense, yes, it's a pilot because we have to kind of restart, if you will, the Bat legacy.
Knowing that going into season 2 that his one of his only friends wasn't going to be there sort of helped me in the process, because I knew that however the story was going to go, I had to sort of have Luke already have this missing part of him, because I knew that Luke was going to have to already figure out a way to adapt without a Kane in his life. Luke Fox isn't really one to let people enter his life. He's very closed off for the most part. So as you saw in season 1, it took some warming up for him to start calling Kane a friend. She was sort of a enemy almost at first, and then an acquaintance, and then a coworker, and then a friend. So it was our job, me, Caroline Dries, the showrunner, and our writers, to figure out how we fill that hole in the beginning. Is it gonna be anger? Is it gonna be self-hate? Is it gonna be grief? So it definitely helped in the process trying to figure out where we're gonna take Luke this year.
You know, I think it was important to let everyone in on the Kane as Batwoman secret, because the jig is up, basically. In the premiere, we see that Kate has supposedly died in this plane crash.
The impact of that plane crash, it hits you, it knocks the wind out of Mary, and it completely shakes up everything you think you knew. With episode 1, our whole world gets rocked. So, of course, Mary is, as the doctor she is, she's triaging the situation. She's there for all of her friends. She's comforting Luke, telling him it's gonna be okay, regardless of what she believes. She's comforting her dad, who's going down this rabbit hole. Is this another daughter that I'm losing? And then there's this beautiful moment at the end of the episode where we exhale and we really feel the impact of what just happened. And I think that when a favorite character leaves any show, I feel like that's the greatest gift of all to give an audience, just to let us feel it.
On the surface, Alice is grieving the fact that she wasn't the one to kill Kate, because of course this has been her whole the driving force behind everything that she did first season. But underneath, I really feel, personally, my take on Alice was that she was and is grieving Kate's death in general, because I'm not sure that she ever would have actually killed Kate. But that's just how I wrote the story in my head.
On the one hand, I was a bit surprised at my own emotional response, which is a lovely surprise as an actor. On the other hand, it was completely cathartic. I feel so lucky to be here, to have this job, and to have that moment. Episode 1 is like, let's go. That suit is meant for a hero, not the lost and found.
You tell that to the bored billionaire who found it in Batman's lost box?
You don't know the first thing about Kane, and you sure as hell don't know anything about that symbol.
Trust me, I know I'm not a symbol, or a name, or a legacy.
Exactly, so why do you think you're worthy of wearing it?
Because I'm a number. I am the 327th baby of a black woman who died during childbirth that year. I'm a $20 a day check to a group home. I'm inmate 40757, serving 18 months for a crime I didn't commit. But I can live with all those numbers, because to mama who adopted me, those are number 1. But it turns out she's just one of 250,000 murders in this country who have not seen justice. And that is a number I can't live with. So you can have this damn suit back, but her killer is dead.
I'd say Tommy Elliott pretending to be Bruce Wayne definitely doesn't make things any better for Luke, because he's already so mad at himself, because he sort of blames himself for Kate hopping on this jet and the jet blowing up. And since he's already sort of blaming himself for that big thing, then he realizes that his idol isn't really there. He thought that Bruce Wayne was back and hopefully he could help in this craziness. And the guy that was in charge of killing his dad was pretending to be Bruce Wayne the entire time. So I think that he holds the weight of Kane being gone on his own shoulders. And I don't know how long it's gonna take for him to take that weight off. Because in a way, he's sort of a perfectionist. So he wants to fix everything, he wants to solve everything. And when he finds himself being a problem, then it takes him many sleepless nights to sort of come to terms with that it's not all his fault. So I think with Kane's disappearance and Bruce Wayne not being Bruce, I think even when he's not talking about it, deep down, he's sort of constantly remembering that things could have gone a little different if it weren't for him.
Use your brain, Commander. A
A lesbian superhero who could have killed me 12 times but didn't? I wonder who that could be.
That's preposterous. Kate would have told me.
You rejected her. Over and over to the world, to her face. You wanted her dead.
With Jacob, he feels like he didn't even know his daughter, and realizing that Kate was his nemesis, his Batwoman, but now he's, all he has left of his 3 daughters is Mary, and he's learning, I don't even know Mary.
I think he's still very much opposed to anyone in Gotham who is not, in with his philosophy, which is, the Crows, and he sees himself as a legitimate law enforcement agency. And although he discovers that his daughter was Batwoman, I think he wants to know how he managed to miss that, first of all, and how he didn't know. And I think he would like to find his daughter and talk to her and try and discover the history of that and how that came to be.
Alice choosing to tell Jacob Kate's big secret that she's in fact Batwoman at that specific time was particularly cruel, which is right in Alice's wheelhouse. So I wasn't surprised that she told him, and I think that was always a part of her plan to tell him, because it's always been a part of Alice's plan to hurt her father as much as she feels he hurt her.
So I was actually really excited when I discovered that Sophie was gonna finally know that Kate is Batwoman. I feel like, it's sad because Sophie, she's making out with Batwoman, but she didn't recognize the lips, and I'm like, come on, girl! And so when I saw the script that it was finally going to happen and Sophie was going to know, I was like, way to go. I was really excited.
Sophie realizing, oh my God, I made out with this woman who is Batwoman. I didn't even realize it was Kate. She's in complete turmoil and has zero closure.
It's gonna definitely bring about a lot of complications because, there's gonna be that concern, like, well, wait, did you know this whole time? And the fact that she's been living a lie as well and making her think that she didn't know this whole time, it's gonna definitely cause some issues for sure.
Good news, my dear mouse. I have purpose once again. It was Sophia who ruined everything. And now I'm going to ruin her. It's lucky you're dead already. My dear brother. Because there's a war coming to Gotham.
Of course, Alice kept Mouse's corpse. It's just so deliciously morbid, and so something Alice would do. But she has a much larger plan. Alice always has a large, overarching plan, and Mouse's body will be the starting point for that plan, which will evolve, and you'll think that you know what the plan is, and then the plan is even bigger, because I'm an evil genius.
Time to be powerful.
I met the new girl. She's gonna be a handful.
Batwoman does not kill.
Boo! Alice is planning something big.
Don't kill me, but I made some alterations.
To what, the suit?
New look.
New Batwoman.
When we were shooting season 1, we ended up losing 2 episodes because of the COVID pandemic. We had already prepped and created the Batmobile for what was supposed to be our penultimate episode.
I took a lot of videos behind the scenes of the Batmobile that no one knows about because I am so excited about the Batmobile. Like, it was funny because when I read the first episode of the season and I saw the Batmobile, I kind of was just like, like, is no one freaking out like I am right now? Like, I feel like a lot of people were like, oh, cool, the Batmobile is here. And I was like, no, the Batmobile is, like, no, this is like one of the biggest Batman properties ever.
This 2021 Corvette kind of already looked like the chassis of what we were looking for. So our production designer souped it up. And then I sent photos of the mock-up to DC, and, it goes through their channels, and they basically approved it. So I was like, great. Woohoo!
I did the right thing today, Mama. And I will try to do the right thing tomorrow and the next day. And sooner or later, I promise I'll be your #1 girl again.
At the end of the episode, she gives Luke and Mary the suit back, and she's like, you can take it. I'm not a hero. And in some regard, her story could just end right there. But it obviously doesn't. But we wanted just to show the audience in that moment, hey, look, there's something up here. There's something awry. She's not going anywhere. She's going to ultimately need the Bat Team at some point. And this is obviously a wound that we've never seen in another human being before, on our show at least.
So yeah, I think fans are definitely going to be concerned about Penny more because now she knows that Julia's been lying. So I think all the fans that were really, really rooting for Sophie and Julia, yeah, it's gonna get a little rocky. So yeah, definitely be a little concerned.
Do I think that he is more sympathetic to the vigilante antics of Batwoman? Possibly a little bit, but then again, not very much. I mean, Jacob is pretty hardcore when it comes to towing the line and doing the right thing. And he sees Gotham as his enclave. He sees it as his kind of kingdom, as it were. And he's the one who is in charge and he's in control. He is the law. So if you go against that, then he's not very happy, regardless of whether or not it's his daughter or not.
You see, my dynamic with Javicia is very good. Luke Fox's dynamic with Ryan is not very strong yet. Because like I said before, this thing that's in Luke where he's like, I don't know who you are, but you're already trying to fill a spot in my life that does not belong to you. And on top of that, you're trying to be the new hero of the city and that position is already filled. So they have this very rough dynamic where Luke very openly is like, no, like we have a Batwoman, she's alive somewhere, I don't know how or where, I don't know how we're gonna find her, but she's gonna need us to find her and we don't need you around right now.
The worry level for the wound after this premiere should be on 100. Like, it is going to be an issue. It's kryptonite. It's going to be an issue. In any superhero show that you watch, you know what kryptonite means. It's literally a saying. When someone that's bad for you say, that's my kryptonite, that is what it is. So it's gonna get really interesting.